Which Side Podcast is a proud member of the Which Side Media Collective.
This week, we don't have a sponsor, but right now we would be doing whatever shout out that whoever sponsored us wanted to do. So instead, I'm going to do my own shout out. There's a new podcast called RGB Vegan. Check them out at rgbvegan.com or follow them on Twitter at rgvegan. Do me a solid though. If you check them out, just drop them a line and say, hey, I heard about you on Which Side.
Yeah, I think it's awesome whenever any podcast is putting themselves out there.
Yeah, no, let's support, people in their work. But we really do need sponsors.
Yeah, so if you wanted to shout someone out and sponsor an episode, all we ask is for $10. That's how much it costs us to make each episode. And so, yeah, go to wishsidepodcast.com and donate.
It's a quick, easy way to put anything that you care about into the forefront.
You could just say, Jimmy Johnson says hi.
Yeah, you can do anything. You can be like, hey John, I have a crush on you. Can I go on a date sometime?
Bring back punk rock crushes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. Whichsidepodcast.com.
This is episode 99.
Yeah, this week we have on Michael Lanfield. He's making a movie based on the World Peace Diet. And also, he has a new book coming out about his journey into so stick around for that. What news and events do we have going on, Jordan?
As of the day that we were recording this, 4 people were prosecuted under Utah's Ag Act law for photographing the Circle 4 pig farm.
There's so much fucked up shit with that place. You guys have no idea.
There was an open rescue there at some point too, I think.
Yeah, there was. The groundwater all around that area is contaminated so heavily that there's advisories that if you fish in that area, you can't eat the fish. That's how fucking terrible it is. Not that I advise on fishing, but that's just how contaminated they've made the entire groundwater system in the area.
It's ridiculous.
It's fucking horrible.
What's also ridiculous is that these are the second ever Ag Act prosecution in the United States, and it happens to be in Utah.
Again.
The last one was dropped.
But
this one, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it gets dropped as well. Also, the South Brooklyn Anarchist Black Cross Federation is asking everyone to write a letter for the campaign for Eddie Africa's parole. They're going to send the first batch of letters soon, so if you can't get them to them early, try again. And then there's going to be another one for Mike Africa, probably in October.
That was at the end of October, right?
Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for that, and you can check out sbrooklynabcf.wordpress.com, or easier one is abcf.net.
Sweet.
It's also Cody Allen's birthday.
Happy birthday, Cody. October 2nd, 1956. Do you know what happened that day?
Like the Cuban Revolution began?
Yeah, you're right! That's awesome! Yeah, the Cuban Revolution began. There's a lot of really interesting history with the Cuban Revolution. It's one of those things that I have on my list to study a lot more, but I'll get to it eventually.
Definitely.
Yeah. If you like these little tidbits out of history, we pull them out of the Slingshot Personal Organizer. You can get that at your local info shop or info shops online at AK Press. And they don't pay us for this shit. I just really like them.
Enjoy.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
Hey, how are you?
Doing good.
Excellent.
I'm Jordan. What was that?
Excellent.
Good. So I'm Jordan.
I'm Jeremy, by the way.
Hi, Jordan. Hi, Jeremy.
So how you doing today?
Not bad, actually. Excellent. It's pretty nice weather here in close to Montreal, so I'm just happy. I'm happy.
It's raining like a shitstorm here. It's
Yeah, it's been like that for a while, off and on. This weather for the summer has been like just, I don't know. I don't even think it's global warming. I think it's global cooling. Because it was damn cold this summer. We never really had much days that were like 30 plus centigrade. So it was really like I was like frozen here,
yeah.
So
So what is the vegan animal rights scene like in Montreal?
well, I'm actually about an hour and 40 minutes away from Montreal, in a kind of a medium-sized city of about 150 or 200,000 people. It's a place called Sherbrooke, and Sherbrooke really doesn't have an animal rights vegan scene. I mean, they have one fully vegan restaurant and a few that are like vegan friendly. And there's a group in Bishop's University, which is an English-speaking school that has a vegan group, but they're not doing much. I mean, it's really weak here in Sherbrooke. Montreal's a little better, but I mean, if you go to Toronto, it's a lot better. I mean, I grew up in Toronto, and there's a huge animal rights vegan scene there. There's the Veggie Pride Parade that happens every year. There's the Vegetarian Food Festival, or Food Fair, whatever you want to call it. That is supposedly the largest food festival in North America. And according to stats, I think there's like 60,000 people that attended for 3 days, which is amazing. But unfortunately, a few years they had dairy and eggs like advertised around. So I think last year and this year was the first 2 years that were supposedly all vegan, which was good. So thanks to Toronto Vegetarian Association for that. And so there's also another event that happened in Toronto recently called March to Close All the Slaughterhouses, and that started in France. So it's a vibrant community in Toronto. I mean, not as big as I would like it to be. I mean, I would have loved the whole world to be vegan, but
Yeah, we had Jenny on from Apocalypse Now Bakery there. They have a lot of great like bakeries and food stuff over there in Toronto as well, I hear.
Yeah, if you check out the Happy Cow, we have like fully vegan restaurants and other like businesses. About over 25 vegan restaurants alone.
Wow.
And so we've seen because I've been vegan since 2009, and I've seen in the past few years, some restaurants close, but then there are more like opening up. And one thing that I find that I don't understand, and maybe you guys can explain, is that, and I've talked about this with my vegan friends, why is there not a vegan fast food restaurant chain in the world today? I mean, there is Loving Hut, but it's not really a fast food chain. We need something like that, because if we can compete with McDonald's and Burger King and all these other restaurants, veganism will just pick up tremendously.
There's also Native Foods, which is kind of...
They're the first that was a franchised vegan restaurant.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but they're not worldwide. That's the thing.
No. There was a restaurant in the Bay Area in the late 90s called Michael's, and they were a vegan fast food place, and they were trying to expand, but unfortunately due to finances at the time, they actually couldn't, and actually eventually went out of business. But they were amazing. It was like a 50s style diner fast food place. Best fucking onion rings ever.
Oh man, I went, there's this one place called Hogtown Vegan, and we're actually considered like a hog town because we had so many like pig slaughterhouses back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And happy to inform everyone that the slaughterhouse, I'm not sure what the situation is now, but from what I understand, because I haven't really been keeping up with it, but from what I understand, a few months ago, the slaughterhouse, Quality Meat Packers, actually closed down in Toronto, and it was a big controversy over that, over the smell and the location and all that stuff, because it's in the in a residential neighborhood. And so, there are some people that really don't care, and they think, it employs people, so, just keep it here. And then there's some people that really are appalled to that. So Toronto Pig Save, which I am a part of, which I kind of slowed down with it because of my work that I'm doing with my film and my book and so forth. But they were like one of the big driving forces, and also they were losing money as well, all the meat packers. So that was really a big thing too.
So you've brought up a couple things I want to get back on, but one of the first things you mentioned a while ago, before I forget, a veggie parade. I've never heard of such a thing.
Veggie parades are actually very common in Europe and some places in the U.S. as well. This is the first one that actually started, I believe it was 2010, and it was started by an activist, Harley Larson. And it's basically just like a pride parade, and they created it as Veggie Pride Parade. And it's basically just a celebration of vegetarian and vegan people marching down, and it's a great thing. And they started in 2010. I was partaking it for many years. Last year, or I should say, the last event that they had, that took place in June, I believe it was, which I did not attend, unfortunately. It was taken over by the Toronto Vegetarian Association, which they changed the name. It's Veggie Parade. So not Veggie Pride Parade, it's Veggie Parade. And it's a great event, but it's not, I love all these events, don't kid me, but I'm more on the, let's just get the vegan message out and,
Yeah.
I'm more of a kind of like an abolitionist, but whoever does good work, even if they use the word vegetarian, I'm okay. I'm okay with that, as long as they're doing good work,
Yeah, I have some issues with that as well. It's but as long as they're about animal rights, that's what I care about. Yeah.
Well, I really look up to Dr. Will Tuttle and his book, The World Peace Diet.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he's not into welfarism or abolition. And he actually talked about this a lot in a few of his lectures, talks, and interviews and so forth. And he says that a lot of animal rights / welfare groups like PETA and Compassion Over Killing and Mercy for Animals, they do both, spreading the vegan message, and they also do welfare stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he says a lot of people just off the street will not donate to a company or to an organization that's only promoting veganism. And so if they see an organization, let's say, for example, like Mercy for Animals, that trying to get supermarkets to implement gestation-free crates, for example, then they might say, well, that's a good thing. Or let's say PETA's trying to, I don't know, let's just say, for example, they're trying to get people to buy the humane meat, for example, at Whole Foods. So then people might go that way. So then when they're funding like PETA to do, and PETA's doing the work, the other work, which is vegan outreach. And I think without this support of the welfare, kind of like cage-free, whatever, gestation free, or humane meat or whatever you want to call it. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I don't support it at all. But for them to survive, PETA, they need to do those sort of, I believe they need to do those sort of activities and promoting that part of it, because that way, if they don't, then I don't think they're going to have as many members, and that's what keeps them alive, membership. And
yeah,
and
I
pretty,
totally agree that it's all a numbers game when it comes to that. It's what I find really interesting is in the late '90s when most animal rights organizations focused primarily on vivisection. There was like a big shift from focusing from vivisection into animal agriculture and animal consumption. And so they switched from focusing on animal experimentation to animals and diet. And ever since then, you can see where they make those compromises to increase awareness and, get those memberships and get more money to try to raise awareness.
Yeah, they'll do anything to get to bring awareness and to get new members, because that's the whole thing. I mean, so, but I haven't been in the animal rights / vegan movement that long. It's been like about 5 years now. So before that, I was kind of unaware of everything, but I was trying to find out, like, what is my purpose on this planet? Why are we so destructive? And I kept trying to figure this out. And I understood, like, at one point in my life when I went back, because I went always back to seeing a photo of myself when I was little. I went to a circus with my mom, and I got my picture taken with this bear. I think it was a grizzly bear that had a muzzle on him. And I went back to this photograph of me, and I just couldn't understand, like, why. And this was before I was vegan, and I just couldn't understand why we were this species that was like doing this to other animals. And I asked my mom, and she had no idea. And from that time, which was probably mid to my late teens, when I started questioning everything. And I started watching more and more documentaries, like BBC's Earth series, and then I saw the film Shark Water, and that was when I actually started to do something about it. And that was 2006, 2007, and in 2008 I actually became pescatarian, and I'm here today. So.
So what made you make the jump from pescatarian to vegetarian or vegan?
Well, I actually did not even go vegetarian. I was pescatarian, eating so-called seafood. I don't even like that term because they're not food. But sea animals, I was eating shrimp, not so much fish, because I hated, I was kind of too lazy taking out the bones, so I didn't really eat fish. But anyways, so I went right away from being pescatarian, eating shrimp and cheese and eggs. I got rid of milk a while back because of my mucus phlegm issue that I had. My mom said that it would be good if I switched over to like soy milk or something like that. So I did. Eventually I did. So what happened was in 2008, I did it for health reasons. I went pescatarian, I guess subconsciously. I just wanted to learn more and more about the health issues, because I had, at the time, I didn't really have major health issues. I had basically acid reflux and that phlegm from like a mucus from drinking milk and dairy. So in 2008, I became pescatarian. 2009, I believe it was around springtime, that I was food poisoned from eating shrimp. And I was then hospitalized for about a day or so. And so many questions were actually going through my mind at the time when I was at the hospital, and I was in a lot of pain. Things like, why are we here on this planet? What is my purpose? Why are humans so destructive? All these questions just kept going through my mind, as they were for the past about a decade or so. And a few weeks later, I actually, while meditating one day, I actually had this awakening. This voice came to me. It was, I guess, through my subconsciousness. And basically it asked me, if I truly profess to love animals and the planet, why am I still consuming them? So at first, I did not know what was happening. I did not know where this voice kind of came from. And I did not want it to happen, but it did happen. This voice came to me and I could not stop it. I mean, it just came to me. And a few seconds later, it was like the most amazing thing I've ever felt. It felt like weight was being lifted off my shoulders, and I just felt so blessed. And I finally understood the connections between all these questions that I've been asking myself and others in the past about why we're so destructive, why are we here on this planet, what is our purpose, and so forth. And at that moment, I just wanted to tell every person about my awakening, about my experience that I had, but I did not know how to explain it. I mean, how was I going to explain it? So at the time when I went, I told myself that I'm not going to eat any animal products at all. I did not know what vegan was until about a few weeks later, and then right at that moment, I just became a vegan activist and started, organizing demonstrations and doing whatever I could to help the animals. And it was basically for ethical reasons that I went and I made the switch. And I've learned a lot throughout the years. I made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned from a lot of my mistakes and continue to make mistakes. But we all learn. We're all here for the same reason, I think. And there's a lot of bickering between animal rights and welfareists and abolitionists and raw vegans and all these issues that shouldn't be happening. I mean, we all want the same thing. We all want to live in a Garden of Eden, in a paradise. And to me, sometimes it seems like it's not that way. And some people think that, one way is the only way, and maybe abolitionist is the only way, or whatever. I mean, I just think that whatever people are doing, I mean, even if they're not vegan yet, but they are more consciously aware of what's happening, or they're at least open to the message, that's a great start. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I think I just continue to learn. I mean, I'm here, so.
So you say you've learned a lot. Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned from being a vegan activist or animal rights activist?
The biggest thing really is making the connections that I was not able to make when I was younger. I knew there was something wrong with the state of the world when I was younger. Even in my teens, I knew there was something terribly wrong, and I just couldn't put the puzzle together and make the connection. And eventually I did make the connection. I think the most important thing that I've learned over the past 5 or so years is, like I said, making the connection between what we're eating, but not only between what we're eating and where it comes from, but more like the deeper connections. And sometimes it's like incredibly difficult to explain, because when you're out in nature, for example, and you see the birds and the caterpillars and the ants and the insects and all the animals, and then you see the trees and the birds in the sky, and like, how do you explain all these things connecting and the way the world works and all that? I mean, it's just, I'm not a philosopher, so I'm not really good at explaining these things, but whenever I go in nature, I just feel my connection, and it just blesses me that we live in this beautiful world of ours, but we are destroying it to this point where, it's estimated that we have about, there's this one gentleman, oh my goodness, I totally forgot his name at the moment, but he has been studying this issue, like how long we're going to be like here on this planet for, and he has been studying this for like decades, and he claims about 20 or 30 years until we become extinct. So we don't have time. We absolutely don't have time. And I actually, Will Tuttle was talking about that, and I have it posted on my YouTube channel, which you can actually listen to there. So it's really fascinating, because once you listen to it, you become really scared. And it's like now we're in a desperation mode where we have to actually do something compassionately as possible, non-judgmental, and do as much and as we possibly can to spread this message, because we don't have time. That's the thing. We're in dire situation now on this planet.
So going back to, you talked about the world peace diet a little bit. Can you kind of explain what that is for people who aren't familiar?
World Peace Diet is basically Amazon best-selling #1 book by Dr. Will Tuttle. He has been meditating and understanding the philosophy and the ideas behind veganism and the vegan lifestyle for more than almost 35 years now. And this book is really, it's kind of complicated really to explain, but it goes really into the underlying depths of veganism and why it's so important to be a vegan advocate. World Peace Diet, you can actually get it, you can actually download it for free on my website there, michaellanfield.com, and it's a PDF version and also an audio book. And there's also, which I highly recommend, the World Peace Diet Facilitator Training Program. So it really goes into, I have the book right here in front of me, and I can tell you a little bit about it, about the chapters, for example. First, he talks about, in the preface, he talks about our meals, the hidden key to understanding. So really, in order for our species and all species to survive on this planet, we need to, as human beings, we need to understand that the issue that we have to understand is that in order to solve any of our problems that we have on this planet, we have to look at food as being the issue, because food is our fundamental, as he says, the hidden key to understanding everything. Food. Then he goes into chapter 1 and talks a little more about food's power, and it's really good. It's unbelievable spiritual, ethical dimensions he talks about here. Then in chapter 2, he talks about our cultural roots. So he goes into the herding culture, how it all started out, why he thinks it started out, all that. Then there's so many other chapters like nature of intelligence, inheriting our food choices, the intelligence of human physiology, hunting and herding sea life, domination of a feminine, metaphysics of food, reductionist science and religion, dilemma of work, and other chapters as well. And it's an unbelievable book. But I actually gave a friend of mine who is vegan this book to read, and she couldn't understand the book. She was like, first few chapters, she was kind of like, I just couldn't understand what he was saying and what he was articulating in this book. And I have that same feeling, because the first few times I actually read the book, I absolutely did not, and I was vegan at the time, and I think I was like about a year in being vegan, I actually did not understand the book at all. And until I actually dived right in and started reading like slowly and understanding these ideas and really learning, meditating, understanding the ethical and the spiritual sides of this issue, then I understood the book. And it takes sometimes a few times to read it before we fully understand it. It's really a sophisticated book that talks really the depths of why we're actually here as human beings. What is our purpose?
So I am 100% not spiritual at all. So what would reading this book give to me, or would I be kind of like what your friend was, just being like, I kind of don't really get what he's saying?
You, I think there's a number of things to look at. Is that first of all, I think that reading the book in conjunction with listening to the audiobook is a really good idea. Also, he has somewhere on his website like a 1 hour introduction to the book, and he actually talks about some of the main ideas in the book. So some people have a better understanding when they actually listen to that before they read the book. Also, I find fascinating because I think I'm not sure how I actually stumbled upon this book, but I think I saw his videos and listened to his interviews before I actually read the book, and I read the PDF first because it was free online, and then I actually just purchased a copy. So listening to his videos, his interviews, I think people get an understanding more of it. But then again, there are some vegans out there that really don't like his message because they don't understand the issues here. I mean, I posted something like recently on Supreme Master Ching Hai, who actually created Supreme Master Television and Loving Hut restaurants worldwide. And she's just an inspiration to me. And she's done a lot for humanity and the animals and all that. And I posted like a photograph of her with like a quote of hers. And can't really remember what it said, but it was something on the basis of like karma. And she was saying something on the lines of like whatever we do on this planet, whatever we do is our actions are like our fault. For example, basically what we do on this planet, consequences, if we do something, for example, something bad or something terrible, then eventually the universe will send that back down to us with something bad. For example, if we're eating animal foods, we are going to bear the consequences in the future. It may be negatively through like health-wise, or usually through health. But we can also see that the wars that are going on in slaughterhouses and farms worldwide, we can see that wars are going on, between humans and humans. So it's as you sow, so shall you reap. And so I posted this about this karma like quote, and even vegans, believe it or not, were arguing with me, telling me that I'm a sexist and racist and so many things. I had to actually like delete the post because I was kind of like, even friends of mine were telling me this, and I'm like, well, I mean, the universe doesn't lie. I mean, whatever we do that was bad that we did in the past. I mean, I did a lot of things bad. I've directly harmed animals, and I'm not proud of that, but that's what happened. And, I think really what we do indirectly or directly really has consequences, and the universe, eventually will come back to us as a negative thing, So I truly believe that, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like you came to veganism from a very spiritual standpoint. Do you find it hard to work with animal rights activists and vegans who that was never a part of the equation for them?
Yeah, I find a lot of people, especially people that I know and friends of mine, went vegan for ethical reasons for the animals. And I put ethics and spirituality very close together because once somebody understands that animals really are not ours to use at all, period, used for absolutely nothing, then they will start opening up to the spiritual side of things. Basically, it's understanding everything. And once we try to question everything, then we will become more spiritual. And once people start, even if we're not vegan yet, once we start questioning a lot of things that are part of our society, because I call myself like an anti-conformist, so I really don't conform to a lot of things that our society sets on us. And so once we open up and start questioning everything, that's when I think that's when we start living.
So, like someone like myself and Jordan, I know we both, pride ourselves on trying to question everything, trying to question all forms of authority, try to question the origins and, the histories. And, I know we both wholeheartedly believe in the absolute non-use of all sorts of animal products. Animals are, to quote Earth Crisis, animals' lives are their own.
It must be given respect.
Yeah. Would you say that since we are not spiritual at all, that fits into your guideline of spirituality? Does that kind of make sense? Because you're saying that the act of questioning is kind of spiritual.
Well, I think all of us, in some sense, we are all spiritual beings. Mm-hmm. I've learned this from Dr. Voltado. We are conscious, eternal beings, and we are. I mean, we can see with our eyes. We are physical. I believe we are physical beings, but we are not. I mean, we can see with our eyes we are physical, but we're not actually physical beings. We're spiritual beings. We're really not on this planet. If we look, it's kind of hard for me to explain it because I'm not a philosopher, but if you, I think once we start opening more our hearts and start understanding more of the world and the connections, the interconnectedness of all life, I think when we start opening more to the spiritual side of things. But I think all of us, no matter if we're eating animals or not, we are somewhat spiritual beings. But we've lost a lot of our innate compassion and wisdom and love and all of that we were born with. I mean, we're born loving and compassionate and kind, but we lose all that. I mean, our culture programs us, forces us to do things that are not natural to our instinct, to our wisdom. And that is a real problem because we're teaching children, small children now to hunt, even little girls to hunt. And that alone is really a bad problem because we are really spiritually disconnected from our true innate compassion and wisdom that we all hold. So we actually suppress all of our, loving kindness and all of that. We suppress that in our hearts. We still have it. It's deep down inside. Everyone has, even slaughterhouse workers, all these people have it, but it's hidden. It's suppressed within us. And we ultimately, I think we need to understand it from their point of view, from all perspectives, because really no one is against anyone. We're not against slaughterhouse workers. We're not against corporations. We're not against anyone. We're all in this together. Every single person on this planet wants to live in paradise. That's the key. Everyone wants to live in paradise. If they're serial rapists or murderers or whatever, we all want to live in a non-violent world. Some of us probably don't understand this idea because we all live in a society and a culture which is violent. And so when we live in a society today which is completely outraged and just ravaging everything and killing everything, we believe that it's normal, natural, necessary to be living such a way as a violent being. But we are not meant to live this way as violent human beings. We're meant to live. I mean, right now, we actually live in paradise. But because people are not living in paradise, they're living with fear and violence, especially starting with their food. And I think that's a real big issue. So, I mean, I can go on and on and on and talk about it, but I don't want to ramble on.
No, I love, rambling down these paths. One of the things that you said was, you don't think people are against certain things, and I'm an anarchist, so I'm against all forms of hierarchy and all forms of exerting violence over another person, and that doesn't, in my mind, makes me be against certain things. So I am against corporations. I am against the slaughterhouses. I do find myself in that opposition, trying to oppose that overt violence. How does that work into what you're saying?
Well, I truly believe the saying, like I mentioned, as you sow, so shall you reap. And any time, and I'm guilty as well, but any time we put out negative thoughts or actions or words to anybody or anything out there, we actually will get that back. So for example, if I'm saying, let's say, oh, I hate that slaughterhouse worker. I mean, I want to kill him. He's abusive to the animals and killing all these hundreds of animals. I mean, first of all, what good is that going to do for us? I mean, it's just going to get us down and being negative. That's number one. Number two is that we need to understand that these people are in a totally different situation from what we are in. A lot of times they are desperate, so they need work. So they're really desperate. And a lot of times they don't want these jobs. They don't want to take on these jobs. They are forced to because they don't have other choice, especially in the U.S. They don't have other choices. And so when they start off, let's say, for example, they're on the slaughter line. If they start off on the slaughter line, they are appalled at what they're doing, but they have no choice. So the first few times they might think it's bad, it's really bad what I'm doing, I don't want to do it anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. But then eventually they get accustomed to it, and they think it's natural, normal. And that's just what has happened to us when we're kids, when we're small children. We are compassionate and loving and caring. Everyone is. We're born like that. But when we are subjected to our cultural paradigm and our parents and institutions and so forth, we learn from our culture. We learn that eating animals and causing all these atrocities and so forth, that eventually that is normal and necessary and natural to be doing all these things. But deep down inside, we are not sadistic. These people are not bad people. We're not against anyone. Everyone wants to live in paradise. I mean, corporations are not the problem. It's the people that actually buy corporations are just demanding. They're demanding basically they're demanding the animal products because consumers are buying it. So really, these corporations are not at fault, and people are really not at fault either. I mean, I remember when I was eating animal foods, I was just totally disconnected and unaware of everything. And doesn't mean that I was actually a bad person. It's like my mother's not fully yet vegan, but she is mostly vegan at home. I have family members that are not vegan, but they're wonderful, beautiful people. And I mean, I don't hate them. I understand that what they're doing is wrong. I mean, deep down inside, we all know that. But I think we just have to plant seeds the best as we can, not as non-judgmental as we possibly can, as loving and as caring and as kind as possible, because we don't really know what's going on in their minds, these people's minds. And when they're eating animal foods, they truly believe that they should be eating animal foods, and they don't know, they don't know truly the devastation that they're causing when they're eating these foods. And sometimes it breaks my heart to see people eating animal foods, even if they're like vegetarians, but we got to do what we can do. And sometimes I just find like, I don't know, it's hard, but I try my best.
Well, that's definitely something that I struggle with as an anarchist myself as well. And a syndicalist, I totally have support for workers' rights. And I understand that a lot of people are put in situations where they have to take these jobs. But at the same time, I would have to disagree that I think that corporations are largely responsible for some of the atrocities that do happen to the animals. Unfortunately.
Well, they are in a way, but again, they're just following, like, there's demand, basically demand for these products. If there was no demand for animal products, they would not be like promoting it or selling it. That's basically just how it is. I mean, McDonald's, we would think, okay, McDonald's is at fault. We want to burn McDonald's down. We want them to go bankrupt. But McDonald's can actually be a force for healing if people will stop supporting these stop eating animal foods, basically. So if people stop eating animal foods, McDonald's will have no choice but to put veggie burgers and vegan options on the menu like you wouldn't imagine. And McDonald's, if this is like a hypothetical thing, but if everybody were to like stop eating animals like today, McDonald's will have to go vegan like today, So I really don't think it's the corporation. I mean, they do have somewhat of a play in it, but I don't. I tend to love everyone and everything. So I mean, I'm not really against anyone. I mean, if you have this mentality of loving,
mm-hmm.
and you have the picture in your mind that, let's say, for example, McDonald's or Burger King or any one of these restaurants are actually vegan, and they're going to be vegan, and they are vegan. You see, let's say, for example, in your mind, you picture Burger King with, let's say, vegan Burger King. You see like a sign up there, vegan Burger King, and you have that picture in your mind, then it will come. I mean, I truly believe that what we picture in our minds, if we picture a paradise on earth, and we continue picturing that in our mind, and we continue spreading the kind and joyful and loving vegan message, I think we will definitely get there. I mean, why promote and think negatively all the time, about everything negative this, negative that? I mean, we have so much negative already in this world. We need more positive and loving and caring messages, and I think that's what we need.
So do you find it sometimes hard for people to accept a lot of the messages with veganism when it's tied into so much spirituality? Like, you're already having to give up so much when you're being vegan, making the conscious choice to, read everything that you eat and change your purchasing habits and your daily habits from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. Do you find it one step harder to include that spirituality aspect of it?
You know what? First day I went vegan, I can't even remember when exactly it was, but it was in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't given up anything. I've actually gained a lot. People think that when you go vegan, you're going to get rid of a lot of foods or a lot of things that like we have in our lives. And I don't think that's true. I think we gain a lot. We really gain a lot. I mean, I gained a new vegan family, a huge community of vegan, just beautiful and loving people that really care about animals and the planet. And I think I was truly, even before I went vegan, I was a little more spiritual than the average person. And so I truly believe that for me, it was really not a big issue. I mean, I actually gained a lot. I mean, before I became vegan, I wasn't even living. I was disconnected from everything. I was going from one job to the next job and here and there and back and forth, and I didn't know what was going on. And I was basically confused with life, with my life and with life in general. And as soon as I went vegan, and a few years into being vegan, probably around 2011, is when I started being more like on the spiritual side of things and understanding like the bigger picture. Once I started like really diving in and understanding the ideas in the World Peace Diet. And this year, actually, I took the World Peace Diet Facilitator Training Program, and it was an amazing experience for me because the course goes like deep into each chapter of the book. So, and Dr. Will Tuttle actually talks about each chapter in like specifically each chapter in depth. So it's a really, really, after I did this course and of course read the book in depth and then did the course, it really like changed my perspective on everything. So I'm really blessed that I'm here on this world today, and it's such a beautiful world that we have. And it's just sometimes depressing and sad that we're doing things to the world that probably no other species on any other planet would consider doing. You know, I mean, we're just destroying everything to the point where like over 100 or 150 species of plant and animal species are being extinct every minute. So it's really devastating. So
earlier you mentioned that you were working on a book and a movie. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
What can you tell us about those projects?
What can I say? Well, it's coming out shortly. The book, it's called The Interconnectedness of Life. And I started writing it in August of 2010. And basically I started writing it because I was kind of tired of telling everybody like what I ate and why I'm vegan and so forth. So I kind of started writing the book. And funny thing was, I wasn't the best student at school pertaining to like English classes, and I like flunk all my English classes. But I actually started writing this book, and I am still kind of atrocious in spelling, but I wrote the book, and it is coming out early next year, probably January or February of 2015. And excuse me, and it's similar book to the World Peace Diet. It talks a lot about my journey of how I went vegan and my younger years, and talks about me going to the circuses and to other animal entertainment places, and talks a lot about like each chapter is short. It talks about the health implications as well, but mainly about the ethical and the spiritual implications of eating animals and why being vegan is so important. I even have a small section there on fruitarianism because in 2000, I believe it was 10 or 2011, after I heard Durian Ryder and Michael Ornstein and read the book 80-10-10 by Dr. Douglas Graham, I actually started incorporating like more raw foods, especially fruit, into my diet. And as soon as I actually did that, I actually started opening up more spiritually. But not only that, I just understood like my body I felt overall just better eating more and more fruit. But lately it's been kind of like eating more cooked vegan foods because of my situation, financial situation, and location and so forth. But I truly believe, for me, that fruit, overall fruit is like the best thing. And so I'm also creating a film under the same name, but the book and the film are actually a little different, but people can actually go to weareinterconnected.com and actually see the information there. the film is actually just in the early stages of production and pre-production. I started it around March, May 2013, and I was really inspired by the film Shark Water and BBC's Earth series and other like National Geographic films when I was younger, in my early 20s, watching these documentaries. I've always wanted to create documentary film, and so that is what I'm doing right now. And so the film is based actually on the book, The World Peace Diet. So at least 3/4 of the book will be on the World Peace Diet and on Dr. Will Tuttle's life. And a portion of that will be on my journey as well, and as well as other prominent like vegans and activists and so forth. So it's all around. So it's actually the first film that's going to be on the World Peace Diet, because there hasn't been a film on the World Peace Diet yet. And so Will Tuttle's actually working very closely with me on this film. And it's great. Can't wait for that. So it's most likely 2016 the film will be out, but I don't want to set a tentative date for that. But I know the book for sure is coming out. And I don't want to reveal any details yet, but I'm just looking for someone to do the cover for the book and submitting the book to publishing companies to get it out. And so I'm going to be releasing a free PDF early next year, and eventually a paperback copy will follow.
You with working with is it Will Tutter? Is that his name?
Will Tuttle, yeah.
Tuttle, excuse me, Will Tuttle.
Tuttle.
So it seems like he was like a very inspirational part in your personal path. How is it working kind of like one-on-one with your mentor? It seems like
it's amazing. I mean, I haven't really spoken to him yet on Skype per se, because we just been so busy, and I'm going to be actually starting to do the film probably next year, because I just want to finish up completing the book and finishing a few odds and ends that I have here that I'm doing. But I'm putting in a lot of work into this whole thing. Working with Will Tuttle, it's just been amazing. I mean, I've seen him in person twice. I've been with him in his car. So it's really like it's like, for example, if you have, because I find him like he's like my biggest fan. Like I'm his biggest fan, and I'm his like he's my hero basically. And I find him like a celebrity to me. So yeah, I'm putting in a lot of time into my work that I'm doing now. I'm putting like over 12 hours a day into veganism and my work. So I'm like nonstop vegan like outreach, spreading the vegan message.
So how do you cope with that? Like, how do you find time to some downtime, or how do you keep yourself from burning out or dealing with the stress?
You know, a lot of people have asked me that, and I've seen in the 5 years that I've been vegan, I've seen that, you know, a lot of my friends have actually burned out, and it's really sad. And because you see them that they are just wonderful, you know, amazing vegan advocates. And when I look actually at their attitudes and their behavior, you can see a lot of them that actually burned out was because of one thing, because they were the angry, negative type of vegan out there. They were judgmental vegans, the judgmental vegan. They were definitely the angry vegan, and I think that is really detrimental to the movement, is being so-called angry or even a closet vegan. Once you're vegan, I don't want to say anything. I just want to keep everything to myself. I don't want to spread the message, but it's so important that we do spread the message, because we don't have time. We absolutely don't have time. We have a couple decades, and if we don't change our ways, if majority of people on this planet don't change their ways, I mean, we probably won't survive. Unfortunately, that's what will happen if we don't change our ways. And so we need to do this, I believe, as lovingly and as caringly as possible, and just see, I think the whole thing is because I see myself in others. So let's say, for example, slaughterhouse workers or non-vegans, which non-vegans I like to actually call pre-vegans, because I know that eventually that a lot of them will be vegans, eventually will go vegan. And I don't want to have the doubt that, they're non-vegans, they will never go vegan, these people. My mom will never go vegan. I mean, I thought that before too, like my mom's never going to go vegan. And here she is, like she's mostly vegan and she understands these issues. And she just sent me a very warm message. And it seems like she's opening up more and more and more. And it looks like she's going to go vegan. She's going to be vegan. And she is. And I put that in my mind that she is already vegan, and she's eating the vegan burger, and she's buying the vegan products, and she's, and she's being the vegan advocate. It's in my mind because I picture it. And so if we have that, if we see ourselves in others, if we see ourselves in that slaughterhouse worker, then we'll understand how to relate to that person lovingly and kindly, instead of being judgmental and shouting and screaming, because that will not get people going vegan. I mean, these people already have it tough in the world with all the negativity, with all the violence, with all the suffering that's going on, with their jobs of killing animals every single day, putting all that fear and misery into their bodies, all the fear and the violence of these tortured beings into their bodies. I mean, we have to be kind to these people and loving to these people, because if we're not, we're going to put more burden on them. We're going to put more violence and more fear if we're shouting at them. And I was that type of person that whenever I saw somebody with fur, I would say, like, you fucking bitch, stop wearing fur or whatever, But now I'm a totally different person. And I mean, there are times when I'm not perfect, of course. Nobody's perfect. But I mean, I try my best to do what I think is best. And I learned. So, I mean, if there's any way that I can do it better or improve, I'm willing to listen,
Well, thanks so much for talking with us. What are some ways that people can get in touch with you?
Well, thank you for having me. And I want to thank everyone for listening or who will listen to this in the future. You can contact me anytime on my website, michaellanfield.com, LANFIELD.com. And my email is bookings@michaellanfield.com. And also my film and my book will be available. And the website for that is weareinterconnected.com.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This week you heard
Lumpy Haggis by Tipper.
And right now you're listening to
Some Sort of Paradise by Robin Guthrie.
And as always,
El Comandantes.
which side are you on?
Fuck.
iTunes. Let's just get it over with. Go rate and review us if you haven't already. And if you haven't, you have to really ask yourself why. Now that you've answered why, just go do it. Thank you.
And if you haven't subscribed on iTunes, do that too.
Yeah, I mean, while you're there,
I know a lot of people listen to through Stitcher, so I mean,
it's weird to me that they listen through Stitcher. We get a lot direct through Vegan Feed too.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys.
If you're not friends with us on our social medias, then do that. And
follow those things.
You will learn things that you have never known.
We still have stickers available. If you want, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to P.O. Box 1291, 84084. And really, if you just throw a couple stamps in, I'll get an envelope, as long as I know where to send them back to.
And if you would like additional stickers, just throw in $1 or whatever, and we will give you a couple more stickers and whatever else we might have.
That will fit in your envelope and your postage available. We'll stuff that shit. It'll be not with shit, but I mean, maybe if you specifically request it and you put enough postage, we'll do what we have to.
If you send a giant box with the postage paid, I might just put a box and a box and a box and a box and a box, and then just have one sticker. That would be too hard to do.
That'd be a lot of boxes.
You just put a bunch of packing peanuts in, and then just a sticker in the middle. Don't do that.
Fuck shit, damn.
Fuck shit, damn.
Which Side is produced by the Which Side Media Collective.